Welcome to this free immigration channel. Today I am yet again answering your questions. As you can see, I have all of your comments pulled up here and I will try to answer as many as possible today in this video, and hopefully it will be helpful to some of you. And the most of the questions that I will get, I will also do some separate videos with the separate answers. And before I start, I wanted to apologize for not making videos for some time. I've been very busy, but let's get into it. Let me try to answer some of your questions, and we will begin with the very first one from Anais Paus, and I'm probably gonna stop trying to pronounce the names just in case so that I don't get them wrong. But here goes the question number one. Hello, I have entered US on B2 multiple stay visa on November 17th, 2021, and my I-94 date is May 16th. 180 days. Okay, I want to file an extension for another 6 months until November 16, 2022. If my extension gets approved, will I be able to leave the country and come back within those extended 6 months? If yes, then I should leave the country, or no, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so to answer your question, the answer is definitely no. So whenever you do the extension, it's the extension of stay. So you're extending the visa that allows you a certain amount of time to stay in the country, in the United States of America, not the entry visa that you get from the embassy in your home country, right? So it's two different types of visas that we're talking about. So whenever you're filing the extension of stay, you're literally extending how long you can legally stay in the country. So it means that once you, if it's approved, right? Hopefully, if it is approved, hopefully there are no problems for you. But it means that once it is approved, once you leave the country, that's it. You basically forfeit the extension. All right. So no, the answer to your question is no. You cannot leave. Let's move on to the next one. Hi, I have applied for B2 visa extension in online. Do I need to mail any documents to USCIS after the application submitting? Okay, so currently, as of today, which is February 4, 2022, just making clarification because especially recently, USCIS, they have been updating their stuff like crazy, a lot of updates. So currently, all of the stuff that is required whenever it comes to documents, whenever you're filing online, they have a special upload portal. So they tell you specifically, okay, so before this application can be submitted, you need to upload these documents. If they're not asking for anything, it means they do not need anything right now of you. If they need anything further, they will make sure to announce and let you know that, hey, we need additional documents from you. So I wouldn't worry about it. As long as you have it submitted, as long as you didn't miss any of the pages online, you should be just fine. Let's move on to the next one. From Little Impaler, yes, immigrants file taxes like citizens of the country. Yes, correct, they do. Let's move on to the next one. Hi, sir. Here actually about the taxes, I wanted to point out, it depends on what kind of taxes we're talking about. If we're talking about the sales taxes, obviously, yes, everyone is paying. But if we're talking about the income taxes, obviously, who is a non-immigrant who comes here with visa, they don't pay obviously taxes because they don't have no income. But this is just throwing it out there so that there is no confusion. Next question. Hi, sir. Your I-539 visa are so helpful. Thank you. I'm glad it's helpful. My question. I have filed and paid and biometric finished. Okay. So you filed, you paid the fee, and you got the biometric done. I checked the process time would be 20 months. 20 months. My intention is pending. Can I review my deal of Texas? Oh, renew your driver license of Texas, or am I lawful presence now? Thank you a lot. Okay, so I need a little bit more information on this one to answer it for sure. So here's how it works, right? If you filed for your extension, it depends on what visa you had currently in the moment. What kind of visa do you have currently in the moment? Is it a student visa? Is it a exchange visitor visa? Is it regular tourist visa? Right? So that will have impact as well. As when it comes to stay, if you filed your extension of stay in the United States of America, and you currently it's active, right? So it didn't pass. So let's say you have an entry visa which is given for 1 year, and you came here and you've been given a stay visa, which are the simple terms, 6 months. So let's say you have been here for 3 months now. So you have another 3 months left. Obviously, if you have another 3 months left, as in my example, yes, you are here lawfully, you're here, you're good, you're present, and you are able to do all of these things that allow you to get, like, for example, driver's license, right? However, if you have filed, let's say, months ago, 2 months, 3 months ago, and as of right now, your stay visa already expired, then it becomes a little bit of a gray area. It becomes a little bit of different, and it really depends on if your extension of stay is approved or not. Now, depending on the state, you can always go and you can try to get your driver license renewed, because you currently have a pending application. And for a lot of immigrant, non-immigrant cases, you will see that a pending application is on itself a legal status. For example, like for in asylum cases, you are not granted asylum yet because you have all of this processing. You have to go through medical exam, you have to go through sometimes court, you have to go through all of these different things, right? Background checks, interviews. But you are legally in the country because you have started the case, you have that pending asylum case going, meaning that immigration services have all of your information. So as long as you have the receipts from the immigration, from the USCIS, you can go to DMV and get your driver license renewed. Again, it depends on the state. Different states have different, because it comes down now to state law, different requirements, right? But I've seen it even come down to DMV from DMV, because you go to one DMV and they don't know what's going on. You go to another one and they're like, okay, we've seen this before, we'll help you with it. So it's very hard to definitively answer this question, but try it. As long as you have your application pending, go ahead to DMV and try to get it renewed. Just make sure to show them receipt. Moving on to the next one. One thing I can disagree with is the fact that you were wrong about the sabotage. Interviewers will try to catch you sleeping, so be on guard. No, you are wrong. Nobody's trying to sabotage you. They're just trying to do their work. Immigration officers, they're not some evil or hateful or somebody against you, right? They're just trying to do their job. And if you are, this is for asylum interview, if you are on your asylum interview and you are confused and you don't know what you're talking about, you are probably not being honest about your story, about your situation. So at the end of the day, nobody's trying to sabotage you except you yourself if you are presenting misinformation to the immigration officer. So don't listen, guys, to comments like this. It's they have no merit to them. Okay, moving on to the next one. Thanks for the help. This is great. I have a long question. Okay, let's do it. What happens if the applicant leaves the US before the extension is approved, since waiting time is so long now? And does the fact that applicant leaves before USCIS decision affect the applicant future B1, B2 visa application to come back to US? Response could help us a lot, so thank you in advance. You're very welcome. And yes, I can answer this question. So if you are here in the United States, you filed for the extension of stay, and your stay, right? You got that visa for how long you can stay in the United States when you came here, right? It's still active. So let's say 6 months, again, you had entry visa. Not the entry visa, the visa when you came here, the how long you can stay in the country visa. You got it for 6 months, you have been here for 3 months, and you filed for extension of stay. And a month later, you decided to leave. Completely fine, you don't have to worry about it, whether your visa is, whether your extension is approved or declined. it doesn't matter because you did not overstay. You see, because you have had it for 6 months and you only stayed here for 4 months. No problems. However, it becomes a little bit more difficult when you have filed for the extension and you waited and now you have overstayed your stay. So now everything depends on your extension, whether it's approved or denied. In situations like this, that's why I always say, if you have a chance, if you're still here legally, you did not overstay, you filed for your extension and you're just not getting the response, if you have an opportunity to go back home to your country without overstaying, do that. Do that because you don't want to risk overstaying and then getting a denial. That would be really bad. You don't want to do that. But if you have no choice, obviously you have to stay and you have to wait for that extension. I do not recommend leaving the country until you get if you already overstayed. I do not recommend leaving before you get the response from USCIS if your visa was approved, if your extension, was approved or denied. Because if it was denied, you overstayed, so here you already have two. It's not gonna look good at all. You overstayed, you filed the extension and it was denied. Not good at all. Alright? So if you got the approval, now you're fine, you're approved, your extension was approved, now you're leaving the country, they say, oh, wait a second, you had it, oh, okay, you got the extension, that's fine, you're good. But before you're leaving the country, they're gonna see that you overstayed. It doesn't matter you filed extension or not, maybe you did, but there is no response yet, so this becomes really risky. Try not to do that. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. Hello there. I came here when I was 45 years old and I want to be registered in selective service system. Am I still able to do so? It is selective service system. The last time I checked on it, I don't know, maybe they have changed it, but it was only for men, and it was only for men between, again, I'm not sure if I'm correct right off the bat, but it was somewhere around 18 years old to like 27 years old or something like this. So basically for men who are in the age of being basically a fighter, okay, a soldier. And it's selective service because it's only for basically a reserve. In case if something bad happens and there is not enough personnel in the military, they can pull somebody from that selective service system. So I don't think it's applicable to you. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am. 45 years old, it's past that age limit. You don't need to worry about that. I'm not sure why. Maybe you're worrying about it because you have to get through the naturalization. For naturalization, they ask if you were registered for the selective service system only if you were an immigrant in United States of America during the ages of 18 to 27 and if you were a man. Okay, next question. Sir, after the biometrics taken, when is the approval if I'm already be gone? After 7 days of biometrics. If I'm already be gone after 7 days. So only 7 days after the biometrics is really not an indicator of nothing. It depends on what kind of, I guess you're asking question on the how to extend visa. So it can, as you can see, there was this one comment here who said that 20 months he was waiting, and it seems reasonable because right now there's so many applications for extension. It's gonna take a while, so file in advance, big time in advance. Next question. Fellow bass player, nice video, thank you. You're very welcome. Moving on to the next one. Hi, I'm about to file a case inquiry right now and I have a question. Alright, what is the date filed? Because there are two dates on my receipt notice. The first one is receipt date and the second one is the notice date. Which one is the date filed? Okay, easy question. The date filed is the receipt date, right? So receipt notice date. Basically, receipt notice date. No, I'm sorry, receipt notice date. The received date. The received date is going to be on the receipt. So that's the date when they received your application. That's the filed date. The notice date is when they sent you the notice. It's the second one. So the first one is gonna be the first one. Next one. How long is the hiring process to work with USCIS? If you want to work for USCIS, that really is up to USCIS. Asylum interview is for asylum seekers. It's not the work interview. So I think you confused a little bit there. Two things. Third parties means attorney. That's how to apply for. So third parties means attorney. Attorneys are the third parties, but in this particular video, I mean third parties, people that are not attorneys. They sometimes refer to immigration practitioners, right? So they're not attorneys, they're not nobody. Me, I would be the third party. I would, because I'm nobody. I'm not a licensed attorney or anything like that. I don't work for USCIS. I am just out here giving you information. And that's in that video, that's what I was referring to. If the third parties are trying to get some kind of money out of you, be very, very careful, because first of all, they're not licensed. They have no authority to practice immigration law. That's why on this channel, it's all free advice. It's not a legal advice, it's not nothing, it's literally just my personal experience that I'm sharing. Okay, moving on. Hi, I have a question. If you're overstaying, can also do the process to extend it or no? If you're overstaying, it's not you can, you have to do it. And you have to do it before you overstay. So it's very important. And you have to do it in advance. And right now, as you can see, it takes up to 20 months, as you see, to process those extensions. So hopefully you're still here legally and you have enough time. If not, you might be in a little bit trouble. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. Next one. Sir, to apply for asylum based on religious persecutions, should I have to show personal threat in the letter, or general situation in the country is sufficient? Please let me know. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely 100%. You see, today, because there's a lot of confusion. First of all, a lot of people in the media, a lot of people who are not educated in immigration law, they present asylum as some kind of jokery, you know. It's anybody can come here and anybody can file for asylum, which partially is true. Anybody can come here, whoever comes here, and they can file for asylum. But do they qualify for the asylum? Now that is an important question, and that is the most confusion that I've been hearing a lot. For example, just because somebody told you no, you cannot be Christian here, that does not mean that you are persecuted on a religious belief in your country. You actually have to be persecuted. Your life has to be in danger. You have to have had experiences of that persecution where your life was in danger, where you have been harmed physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, and you have to have the proof to corroborate all of these statements. So, to answer your question, absolutely you have to have not only a general story or a situation, you have to show the proof that you have been persecuted. And that persecution was not just because somebody didn't like you, but they didn't like you because you are of a certain religion and they attacked you and they did something to you, and you can prove all that. So whenever somebody puts it like this, now all of a sudden asylum cases become much more complicated, much more elaborate, right? But that's the whole point, because asylum and refugee cases, they were meant for people that are desperate, that they have no other option but to seek that asylum refugee status in order to save their life, basically, and the lives of their families. So it's very, very important to understand it. Next question, cyber credible. Next one. I got my social security number and employment authorization document from the dude at the top of my YouTube channel name. I highly recommend y'all to them. Okay, so I highly do not recommend to anybody a dude from the top of somebody's YouTube channel. That's exactly the third parties that I was talking about. You don't want to be deal with them. As you can see on this channel, you know how many times I got messages asking, hey, I will pay you, please help me with my case. And I said no. Why? Because I am not authorized to make money to get paid for sharing this information, for giving you a legal advice. Because if I am getting paid, now it's a professional, now it's a legal advice, and I'm not authorized to do that. The only people that can do that, they are either attorneys or somebody who work for the immigration or licensed immigration practitioners, which most of these people are not. Okay, so be careful, stay away. Hi, can I file stay extension 15 days before I-94 expire? Ooh. I'm trying to file to my mom. She doesn't know English, so do I need to include my details in the interpreter section as well? Okay. Yes, you can. And you should. You have to. Unfortunately, this was posted 3 weeks ago, so I really hope you did. You should have been thinking about it earlier and not putting your mom in the situation like this. But I really hope you did. Obviously, it's way too late. But if you can file it, in advance, you have to. If you can't, then yes, file before it expires, obviously. And yes, in your situation, you do have to put yourself as interpreter because she does not speak English. All right, nice video. Thank you. Next. Hi, my daughter doesn't have surname in her passport. F, have only given name. Okay. She's not able to obtain I-94. She tried with different ways, like with the US visa name, but she was failed. Please help us. Thank you. She's on F1 visa. She doesn't have a surname. Interesting. I never heard of or seen a situation like this where somebody doesn't have a surname. Here's the thing with the I-94, obtaining I-94 information. It's already difficult because most of the times something is a little bit messed up. One letter is off, one space is off, and that's it. You're not able to pull it up. So most of the times you're gonna have trouble pulling up your I-94. With a non-existent surname and with a different name from US visa, that becomes even harder. So it really depends on why you're trying to obtain that I-94 information. You can always contact the USCIS directly, customer service, and see if they can help you somehow. But the worst case scenario, if you are not able to pull it up and you need the dates for your application, just leave those days blank. I've seen those happen. I've seen people putting approximate dates just because there is really no other way for you to pull up that information, unfortunately. Awesome video. Can you help to fill I-129 for E2 visa? I'm confused because E2 petitioner is going to be a worker because she owns a company. Okay, so I personally cannot help you, only through this free sharing of experience, knowledge that I have, right? Being myself an immigrant. But whenever it comes to I-129, this one is for non-immigrant worker, and this is for someone who is petitioning for that immigrant worker, right? Non-immigrant worker, sorry, not the immigrant worker, it's because it's two different things, but the non-immigrant worker, basically someone who's coming here to work, but they don't have plans to immigrate, right? So E2 petitioner is going to be a worker. It means that the E2 petitioner is not filing the petition, the I-129, because the I-129 is filed by the company. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you can't be both the employer and the employee and then you file for yourself to get employed. That's not how it works. It's some kind of trickery. So don't do that. You're gonna get in trouble. Moving on. Absolutely informative video. Okay, glad. Okay, moving on to the next one. Joining first. I was vaccinated when applying for immigrant visa. And when I showed the doctor that I received these vaccines in my childhood, he still gave me the same vaccines. Is there a way to complain about this case or do something about it? Now I am in US. And then the next question from Joining First too. What about vaccination waiver? Do you not explain that or have separate video on how and what to do? It's about religious convictions. Okay, Joining. So I have an answer for you. Unfortunately, I had to go through this myself as well. I showed all of the records to the doctor and they said, listen, if you want to get your green card, you have to get these vaccinations, period. I have to show to immigration services that I did these vaccinations to you, and you have no option, unfortunately. 17 freaking vaccinations I had to get in the course of 2 days. It did not feel pleasant. It did not feel good. Do I think it's okay? I don't think it's okay. I don't agree with it. I think it's crazy and ridiculous to make someone do anything medical. Whether it's vaccination, whether it's any kind of exam. Do I understand it? Yes, I understand it, because immigration services, they don't want to let in any, well, I mean, this day and age we let in pretty much everyone who's jumping over the border from Mexico, so that does not apply to anyone jumping over the border in Mexico, unfortunately. But everyone else who's coming in legally to the country, unfortunately, they have to go through this to show that they don't have any diseases, that they don't have any kind of basically medical problems that would endanger people who are already here in this country. Again, because of this whole democratic stupidity that we have in this country, where certain immigrants who are not even immigrants, who are illegals, they're jumping over the border, they don't have to show anything. They don't have to show any kind of medical history. They don't have to show criminal history, nothing. It doesn't matter for them. But for everyone else who is trying to be in this country, who wants to live in this country, you have to go through all of this. Because of this, it kind of becomes a gray area. But at the end of the day, it's understandable why you have to go through all of this vaccination and be, show that you are healthy. Now, it becomes a different story whenever it comes to this new vaccination that they call, which is not a vaccination, it's an experimental jab. It has not been approved as a vaccination yet. So that is a whole completely different issue. I'm not even going to get into it. But for the vaccinations that you are mentioning, that are polio, the MR, whatever, I'm not a doctor, I'm sorry, I don't know all of these names, but all of these vaccinations, unfortunately, you have to go through it and you have to do it. Now, moving on to your next question, is there a waiver? Yes, there is in fact a waiver for religious exemption. It costs some money and it's not cheap. In my experience, everyone I know who filed a waiver in order not to do all of these crazy vaccinations and go through all of these medical exams, they were not approved. Not a single one of them. People just simply paid money, wasted money, basically, and they were just simply denied with no reason, with no explanation. So unfortunately, yes, there is a waiver, but in my experience, they have not seemed to work. Okay, next question. Hi, my mother is on B1, B2 visa, and she's visiting me, and her I-94 expires on February 25, 2022. I wanted to extend her stay. And if I apply for an extension, and if I don't get approval before February 20, can my mother still stay in the United States, or do I need to send her back before? Okay, so if a mother stays for another 2-3 months and gets her visa denied, yes, it will be illegal. Yes, you're right 100%. So you filed for your extension. It expires on February 25, so you have still 21 days. I would wait another week and a half. And if you don't get that extension approved, I would recommend for your mother to travel home. That's just to be safe. I'm not saying that it's not going to be approved. Maybe it will be approved. Most likely it will be approved if there are no problems. But you don't want to take that unnecessary risk. If it's not a problem for your mother to go back and it's not a big deal, then that's what you should do for sure. Don't risk it. Okay, moving on. Thanks. You're very welcome. Moving on. Hi, my H4 employment authorization document card is approved and I changed to different address. I need to receive card in mail. But if I update it in AR11 for now, would I still be able to receive in a couple of weeks, or it takes months? So AR11, it does take some time to approve. So I would recommend, if you are, you have to change the address now, but what you should do is you have to also do the change of address that is shown in this video. So you are updating your address on AR11 for the immigration. but you're also updating your address for the USA, for the USPS, for your local postal office. Not local, but the postal office. So if immigration did not update your address on time and they send your application to old address, USPS picks it up and sends it to the correct address because you updated in both. That's really it. Okay, moving on. I'll try to get it to the end of this page right here and save it for the next video. The rest. Okay, moving on to the next question. Can you make a video to teach how to fill out the Form H-2B classification supplement to Form I-129? Okay, thank you for the request. I'll try to do that. I filled a petition for my brother through Form I-130 on July 2021, but my physical address has changed. How can I update my address on my petition that I submit for my brother? Okay, so you have to fill out the AR11 immigration change of address for the immigration. You have to do that, and you have to also change the address for USPS, just like I explained. Very, very important. Okay, moving on. I've been told to build my credit score, but you're saying don't use your credit card. That's conflicting for me. Okay, moving on to this comment, just to see what he says. Continue using credit card, but use it wisely. This is what he wants to point. Yes, pretty much. Without credit card, it's difficult to build credit history or renting your own place and etc. Take small risks, never stop asking, never ever let the people think you're stupid and asking a lot of questions. No worries, always try to new things, meet new people, but be careful, a lot of scam here. Ramin Bagirov, thank you very much. That was a really good answer. Yes, I'm not saying you can't live, unfortunately, here in the US without a credit history, credit score, credit cards, all of that credit stuff. But at the same time, for immigrants coming into this country, it becomes very dangerous because, for example, the country where I come from, we don't have mortgages, we don't have car loans, we don't have credit cards, okay? So people don't buy stuff that they cannot afford. You can only buy a car if you have enough of money in your pocket right now to buy that car, all right? You see the difference? Here in US, you can buy a car with zero money down. So you have no money in your pocket and yet you can go ahead and get the whole car, right? So that's what happens with a lot of immigrants. They come here, they're like, they get a house, they get a car, they get all these credit cards. I mean, it takes time to build up the credit to that point, but really, as soon as you see that your credit is up, you're like, okay, what bigger purchase I'm gonna make now? Let's buy a house, let's buy another car, let's buy whatever. Big TV, doesn't matter. And now you're living basically your life in this debt from one loan payment to another, and you pay just one payment after the other. All the money coming in are going towards these payments, and I've seen a lot of people ruined, especially a lot of immigrants. Again, just because they are not used to this system. So yes, Felix, yes, credit score. Can you live without a credit score in this country? Yes, you can. It's hard, very hard. So yes, you should have a credit score. You should have a few credit cards, 1, 2, maybe 3, with decent credit limit, with no annual fees, and you should try not to use them unless absolutely necessary. And basically that's it. Okay, moving on. My in-laws are from Thailand. They have been visiting me with a B12 visa. B12. If I do extend their time here in the US with the I-529, are they going to get banned from coming into the US next time and denied for their green card? Okay, so the B is not B12, it's B1, B2. So it's visitor, tourist, or for business, for pleasure visa. It's non-immigrant visa. If I do extend their time here in the US with either, are they going to get banned from coming to US next time? Okay, no. If you are doing the extension and it is approved, no worries about nobody's getting banned, everything is good. You're gonna have a problem if you file for that extension and you don't wait for the approval. Not you don't wait, but instead of, maybe getting denied. Basically, what I'm trying to say is everything depends on your stay visa. How long, as long as you're not overstaying your visa as a result of your filing your extension, right? So if it's approved, then you're fine. But If it's denied, then hopefully your active visa is still active and you can leave before it expires. And you're not in a situation where now you have to basically you have to leave the country with an expired visa and now you've been here illegally. That's really bad. So you don't want to do that. Okay, very last question here that I'm going to do today. I have a friend currently in Ethiopia. There is a civil war and certain ethnic groups are being targeted. I would like to know, would this apply to Ethiopians? Okay, so the question was for how to apply for asylum in USA. Okay, so there's a two-part answer to this question. First of all, asylum is for people who are here. So if your Ethiopian friends that are planning to apply for asylum, if they are in the United States of America right now and they're scared to go back because they had these bad experiences and they're persecuted and they're targeted there in Ethiopia, yes, they qualify for the asylum and they can file for the asylum. However, if they're not here, if they're there in Ethiopia, asylum is only for people that are here in the United States of America. So that's number one. Number two is the second part of my answer is that they have to be really persecuted. They have to have a proof that they've been persecuted and specifically attacked based on obviously belonging to a certain, like you said, ethnic group, political affiliation, religious beliefs, right? But they have to be persecuted, and if they are, then yes, that is another important requirement for the asylum case to be valid. So I think I'm gonna be done for today with these questions. I'm gonna try to do some more videos today for you guys, besides answering questions, doing a little bit more specific, but I always appreciate your questions. Again, this is not in any way a legal advice or anything like this. This is just me being, giving my knowledge and experience, sharing from the experience being an immigrant myself, so that I can help people that are, whether you're an immigrant or if you're non-immigrant, doesn't matter, where you're a visitor to this country. I want to make sure that everyone is doing it properly and legally without breaking any laws, without, because I'm an immigrant myself. I came here and my goal was to contribute to this country, not to take away something from people here, but to contribute to this country and everyone who lives here, including, the immigrants, including the people who were born here, including the people who are future immigrants coming here and hopefully following the law and doing everything the right way. So thank you for watching. If this was useful, consider subscribing, and all the questions you can ask in the comments, and as you can see, I'll try to get them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching.